But now it's time to move on to somebody I know pretty personally. I've watched him. I've watched his skills in action as a hunter. Didn't watch him play baseball. I'm not going to lie, but I did. This is David Wells. David Wells, legendary Yankees pitcher, and I did bring a separate hat just for this interview, David. I don't know if you can see me, and if you can't, that's okay. But
all right.
This isn't. This is actually not just to troll you for being a Yankees pitcher. It's also because the topic we're going to cover. I just happen to be an Atlanta Braves fan this year. Not so great. I know they went the first two games. The Yankees were just playing Atlanta. In the first two games, Atlanta won the first one. Should have won the second one. I don't know if they had the third game already. I've been busy, so I don't know if the third game was yesterday, but they've been playing this week. Long story short, the Braves kind of suck this year, and the Yankees should be better. So I think is that fair?
Yeah, very fair.
If they had a guy, I don't know. I don't know how much of this story you'd ever want to tell. I have two David Wells stories that are kind of evergreen, and I don't know if you tell any of them really. But when you wore Babe Ruth's hat through half of a game, I think that's just the coolest thing ever. You want to tell that story real quick?
Well, it was one inning because Joe Torre, when I bought the hat,
okay.
I told everybody I'm going to wear this hat, and Joe caught wind of it, and he says, "You're not wearing that hat." And I go, "Why wouldn't you want me to wear that hat? You're a Yankee historian. You're the manager. It would be cool." And he told me it wasn't the required uniform, so I said, "I'm going to wear it."
You didn't want the fine. That's what it was.
Yeah, he goes, I'm going to wear it.
He didn't want the fine.
And he said, "No, you're not." And I go, "We'll see." And so that day in '97, I wore the hat out there against Cleveland, and you know what? I came off the mound. He was not happy, and I told him, "I told you I was going to wear that hat." And he ended up fining me $2,500, and the rest is history. But I did wear that hat, so it was good.
You know what? Even back then, $2,500 is pretty much worth a good story for the rest of your life. I mean, I think you came out on the winning end of that one. It's funny. You said you were playing the Cleveland Indians. I guess they don't exist anymore. Now they're what are they called? The Guardians? Is that right? Cleveland Guardians?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I still call
and
them
now we've got the Washington. Well, and I'm glad you do. And that's why I wanted to have you on today. We've got the Washington Commanders. For whatever reason, Trump this week decided to take a stand against eliminating Native Americans from sports. Like I said, I'm wearing my Tomahawk hat, my Atlanta Braves Tomahawk hat, because God forbid they come for us. I mean, we got the Tomahawk chop. But what are your thoughts on this? I've got Trump's tweets here, his Truth Social post, and I'm going to read them real quick. It says the Washington whatevers should immediately change their name back to the Washington Redskins football team. There's a big clamoring for this. Likewise, the Cleveland Indians, one of the 6 original baseball teams with a storied past. Our great Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen. Their heritage and prestige is systematically being taken away from them. Times are different now than they were 3 or 4 years ago. We're a country of passion and common sense. Owners get it done. And then his second post, I won't read the whole thing, but he talks about the owner of the Cleveland baseball team, Matt Dolan, who is very political. He lost 3 elections. And it's like Trump's basically saying you're hurting yourselves here. People want their mascots and their nicknames back. You played in baseball that's got 2 of the most famous ones, the Cleveland Indians, Atlanta Braves. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because in 1972, when I was a youngin', I became a Redskins fan. So I was Chargers and Redskins growing up in San Diego, like I was Padres and Yankees. And so the Redskins have been my favorite team since then. And when the Chargers left town, San Diego went hysterical and, everyone threw their jerseys away, which I did. I kept one, LaDainian Tomlinson. He's a good friend. So I kept his jersey. Yeah. And so the Redskins have always been my team. Art Monk, who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, from what I hear, was my favorite wide receiver. And I've got a signed jersey by Art Monk. And I've had it for 30 years. So it couldn't be better because when they changed the name to the Commanders, I went nuts. And it's always been Washington Redskins. It's always been Cleveland Indians. And every time they try to, change the name for whatever purposes they think that, America's racist or whatever it may be, you know what? Those teams been there since day one. Quit trying to change it
Yeah.
and change a country. They're stupid for doing that.
Do you think Trump getting behind it is the key? I mean,
I hope
the
so.
Redskins, they've had owner trouble for a long time, and they've had culture trouble, and hope is they get out of it, because they're one of those perennial teams that, good or bad, there's a huge fan base. They're in the nation's capital. Trump says he can pull funding and make it happen. Do you support that?
I support it 100%, and I think he should do it. I mean, I just don't understand in sports. I mean, it's whatever, it's your pastime. Me, baseball, whether it be football, NBA, hockey, whatever it is. Quit trying to change the names. Keep the integrity of that, because people had stuff from way back before you and I were born. And to me, to finally have a president that's going to stand up for everything, for our rights, make our country better, and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, if he's got the power to do it, I'm all in for it. I'm backing him up 100%. And because we need the integrity of everything back to normal, instead of just trying to change every single thing, nitpicking on everything. Because I don't know what the other side's doing, but they're trying to do it in an abundance, and it's not fair.
It kind of reminds me, sometimes ignorance is bliss, but sometimes ignorance is a scourge on the earth, because I haven't researched this heavily, but I know the Washington Redskins, like, they worked with Native tribes, and it was intended to honor Native Americans.
Sure.
And it's like this idea, it's like the Aunt Jemima thing. They never stopped to think about the fact that Aunt Jemima is this entrepreneurial figure that showed that a black woman could become, like, famous for the rest of history for her hard work. Like, they turned on Aunt Jemima, So, of course, they're going to turn on the Washington Redskins without looking up even anything about it. To me, that's what's hilarious about this whole thing.
My favorite syrup of all time, Aunt Jemima. I grew up with her, and, on every pancake, waffle, French toast, you name it, and crepes even. But, that's what I'm talking about. It's they're nitpicking on every detail, whatever it may be. If it's Native American, African American, they're just trying to cancel us all. And for what? For their own. I still can't understand why they're doing it. For their good measure, for whatever it may be. But to me, Joey, it's something that it's just sick. It makes you sick to your stomach to see these types of people change, our history of life that we were so accustomed to.
When we go outside of the scope of just, mascots and names, we look at sports. There's this kind of dual argument. Now, in fact, there's a guy named Gautam Chopra. His dad is Deepak Chopra. Gautam is a huge sports fan, extremely liberal. He told me Kamala Harris would be in the White House 10 years before she was VP. Like, he's wealthy, he's in California, he's in the know in the DNC. But he's a good guy. And he has this belief that politics has always been a part of sports, that sports is always kind of, politics is downstream from culture, as Andrew Breitbart used to say, and that sports is a part of that conversation. I looked at it, I guess my politics and sports started with Colin Kaepernick, and I looked at it the other way. Like, sports should try to be devoid of politics, because it's a place for us to argue about other things. It's a place to hate each other for other reasons. And I say that jokingly, but as a big sports fan, I just never. If you would have asked me before 2008 or 9, how do I identify? I think Georgia Bulldogs and Atlanta Braves fan would have come before Republican, and now those things seem to be intertwined. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, there's no room for politics. I think that's why I was on 9 different teams, because I spoke my mind dramatically, as you know. But for me, you're right in that sense, because you want to take politics out of everything, and sports is a place to do it. But now they're butting in on it. They're trying to make it political, and they're trying to change everybody. They're trying to push everybody to one side. And then so now you've got your Democrat or your Republican, and they're trying to push everybody to fight against one another, when sports is sports. Leave politics out of it. There's no reason for it to be in it. But, if you have your own political reasons, use that outside the lines, not inside the lines. And to me, it's hard for me to watch. Kaepernick's the reason why I don't watch the NFL. You take a knee, you disrespect, our country, our military especially, and what you fought hard for, and your colleagues that you've lost, and all that stuff. That makes no sense to me. So, and then you got all these other sports that are following suit and trying to do all that stuff and change it. Leave it out there. Go rally, go do that after the game somewhere else, but keep it out of sports. You're 100% right.
Man, you talk about supporting the military. I know you support the military. We run into each other at fundraisers all the time, mostly Tunnel to Towers. Tell us what you got going on, and I know that you always you're doing your own efforts. Tell us about it real quick before we let you go.
Well, I started the Perfect 33 Foundation, I think 11 years ago, for our military guys, our Navy SEALs and military for TBI. Just moving forward, I hooked up with Frank Siller and Tunnel to Towers. So now we're building homes for, catastrophic, injured first responders, military, and now we're doing homeless vets. So to me, that's just a huge thing. I just had my event which you spoke at my event in May at Bedminster. And so we were very successful there. So either to help out, our first responders, military, but our homeless vets, which is near and dear to me because I grew up in San Diego, and that's a military town. Yeah. So for me, that's just huge. And, as long as I'm breathing and vertical, I'm going to keep doing what I do to help our guys out and our men and women in the service, our first responders, because, you guys deserve it. You make us safe. I feel safe. My kids feel safe, and we have the liberties to go out and do what we want to do. In fact, next Monday, I'm taking my boys to South Africa. We're going to go do some hunting there. And, I'm getting fired up for it because we're all bow hunters. So we're going to go out there and do our best with bow hunting.
Yeah, I did. I think my first bow hunt ever was with you on Fox Nation Outdoors. And you had a more impressive kill, but I was real impressed with the fact I got it done because I didn't think I could. And we became friends over that, and I didn't know your politics. I mean, we talked, but that wasn't what it was about. It was about hunting and having fun,
And that's what it was about. And talk about my impression. You were more impressive because you never shot a bow. They set a bow up for, I think Freddie Hartai set up a bow for you. You come walking into camp. You're at 40 yards, first shot, bullseye at 40 yards. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They didn't know your draw length. They didn't know everything. And then you go out there and whack a nice mule deer as well. And I'm just like, now that's impressive. I mean, the whole story, I won't tell you the whole story, but to me, that was the most impressive hunt I think I've ever seen in my life. So, kudos to you for sticking it out, and we were both successful. So that was great.
Hey, listen, it's awesome I can put an arrow where I want it to go. I wish I could have put a baseball where I wanted it to go. I probably would have made a lot more money at that. But I appreciate the accolade, man. Thanks for pointing out first responders in the charity work. I really appreciate that. A lot of our viewers and listeners know that I just did a book, Behind the Badge, that highlights non-first responder stories, and it's near and dear to my heart. And I appreciate the fact that you and now Tunnel to Towers are taking care of first responders like our veterans, because I think they deserve it. And we don't have to look far to see those stories.
No, you don't. And before I go, you got the hat on, but we whooped them in the '92 World Series. So, I've got a little history against the Braves, but never played there. Too hot for me. But we got the ring, and you got the second place ring. But that's all right. You got to be a fan of somebody.
Oh man, I tell you what, brother, I'm glad we're friends because you made me feel bad just now.
Nah,
David Wells, thanks for joining. And listen, be safe out there. Go have fun with your boys, and send me some pictures.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.